I am Dove Cameron, and I play Kansas City in Vengeance. Boyd is one of these people. He's just, he walks into the room and you're like, whoa, like he's so charismatic and so full of like sunshine energy and really kind and warm, and he's just got such like a singular presence to him, and he was really wonderful to work with. And Jay, I fell in love with her. I was like, you're my mom forever now. She's just got such a warm, like maternal energy, and she's a genius. Boyd is hilarious, and I'd known his work, but I'd never seen him do comedy. And he's a brilliant comedic actor. And Jay is so talented. Really, really mind-blowing work from everybody, yeah. My initial thoughts were that it was one of the funnier scripts I've read in my life. It's very rare that a script can make me laugh out loud, but obviously I think BJ, I'm a huge fan of The Office, like massive fan of The Office. Actually, I think I'm due to start watching the whole series for like the 9th time through. It's been long enough, it's been like 6 months. And so this sort of like familiar, BJ was obviously a writer for The Office, so that kind of like familiar tone was something that really stood out to me. Kansas City is this kind of like quintessential, you know, we all kind of like know this girl. She's wants to be famous, doesn't really have any specific talents or passions, just knows that she wants to be famous. But I think it's this really interesting character because she's part of this kind of dystopic section of modern culture where it's very like she's like listless, doesn't know herself, and just is under the impression that she wants to be famous, even though she doesn't know what it is or has any sort of like connection to what that means. It's just like she's been sold this idea that if she is famous, she will be complete, she will be happy, and she doesn't know. She has no context or like facility for that. She just is really depressed and miserable and you know, disenfranchised with her life. A big theme for our movie is the sort of disenfranchisement, the disenfranchised tone of this kind of life that this family is living, and what they are grasping for to fill these holes that actually aren't medicines for their life. But they just are like dopamine stimulators. And I think that's something that was really apparent to me reading the script, is that these, you know, I know this girl, Kansas City. I know this whole family. So yeah, so I think that BJ has this really incredible ability to find comedy in the tragedy, and also like speak to the zeitgeist. The family is very close-knit, very like ride or die kind of family loyalty. And it's a very sort of enmeshed situation. And they're all very like fledged out, interesting characters. I actually think that the family is very lovable. It's the kind of like fantasy family relationship, I think. I think Kansas City has a sort of a aggressive disposition towards most things in life. She has a sort of a, she's very young and very self-focused, so I think most things that come into her stratosphere are things that she either feels neither here nor there about, or like generally unhappy with, followed by once she realizes that Ben is maybe potentially in a position of power for her. Once she realizes that he runs a press outlet, or in her mind, she's, you know, this is like a situation for her to take advantage of. This film is a deceptively compassionate film. I think it starts out as a sort of a strange genre blend between, you know, suspense and mystery and comedy, and then it ends up being a really heartwarming film that's very timely, because it is very much about like this sort of like incredible division going on in the States right now between two different sort of schools of thought that seem to be very black and white, very left and right. And Ben and the Shaw family represent two incredible extremes. And then this sort of whirlwind, like wacky races plot that gets everybody involved is so revealing in terms of like, you know, dynamics and trauma responses and how culture shapes us and how people interact and brain development. Like the whole thing is just so fascinating to me as a study of human behavior. And BJ is such a genius. He really like brings you along for that ride and makes it entertaining. BJ is an incredible director. I mean, he's a really, he's a genius writer. He's one of my favorite comedic actors. But he's an incredible director. I mean, I don't understand how he was able to do all three so well. But I definitely think something that was different about working with BJ as an actor is because, or as a director, is because he was always there, and because he was writing it, he would just feed us lines on the go. The other thing that was really special about it was just the fact that he's so funny. That it was like, I'm pretty good at not breaking. I also started out in comedy, so I'm like, I kind of pride myself on being a pretty good, like, straight man in terms of like giving someone a sounding board to be funny against and being funny and not making myself break. There's something about BJ. It's really maddening. It's like none of us could keep it together to the point where it was like actually frustrating. Like there are scenes that didn't make it into the film that were some of my favorite scenes, and I know it's just because we didn't get it. Like we literally didn't get it. We ran out of time and we didn't get the shot, and everybody was like angry. Like actually there was this one time we were shooting at this rodeo and it was freezing. Like people's noses were red. I could barely like animate my mouth because it was so cold and my muscles were freezing. And he kept feeding this person behind us this line. And I can't even tell you why it was so funny, but it was just BJ and the line and the circumstance. And it was so hilarious that every single time, every single one of us broke, like Boyd included. And he's such a good straight man. And BJ was like getting really mad. He was like, guys! And we couldn't keep it together, even though it was like, Dad's mad. And it didn't make the film. I've never seen the bloopers, but I think it might be longer than the film.
You can't solve something like this with a 45. It's the breakdown of society is what it is.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's very wise.
You're gonna need a 12 gauge, a couple of ARs,
No.
Western automatic, and a sidearm for safety.
Where are you right now?
I'm in an Uber.